All right, welcome back. It's part two. We're doing alternation in tonal values, and we have our first wash completed. We actually, um, the first thing we did, we as we practice and work out our ideas in watercolor, we sketch out some ideas first, perhaps. Does that make sense? We sketch out some ideas, perhaps, of what we're going to draw first. Um, Maybe sketch out a couple of value patterns, tonal light patterns. So we kind of have a general idea of how the light's going to be looking in our picture. Is it going to be coming from the left? Is it going to be coming from the upper right, upper left, the light? And then we contour draw our idea from our preliminary sketches we did. So we're sort of distilling down our ideas, starting off with quick sketches first, and then we're getting down more toward the putting the sketches in the watercolor together at the same time on our watercolor paper with our watercolors. And here again, this is just fun. This is practice time. This is not a finished painting. We're just working out some ideas here, and we're saying that we want to see how alternation in tonal values works with our watercolors and how it can make our paintings a lot more exciting. So here we started out and we did our first wash, which is like a middle key, middle tonal values, nothing too dark with the watercolor paints. We went with a lighter wash with more water, so we mixed a little more water in our paints. And that was our palette here after we were done. So as always, we spritz a little water on there on our palette. We take our paper towels, which are always handy, and we make sure we prepare for another wash of paints. So we clean up our palette, keep a nice clean palette here. So we do that first. And we spritz a little paint on a little bit of water on our paints if we need to, but our paint should be nice and moist in our palette. And we'll go in now and we'll work out some ideas with some darker tonal values now to get our alternation of light and dark tonal values in our composition. So we're looking to go in with our darks now and play the darks and the lights against each other in this painting to make it exciting. So we'll take our palette and we'll mix some interesting colors here. We'll use some warmer colors now. So we'll do some sap green and burnt sienna. That'll give us maybe a nice green color, sap green and burnt sienna. And we'll also take some burnt sienna and some burnt umber. That'll be some interesting colors for the trees and the shack. And then maybe a little cobalt blue too, just to have for a variation. And here you can see the paints aren't running at all. So I'm going with much thicker paint, much less water. As you can see, there's nothing flowing. And we'll start going in. And we'll start with some maybe we'll do some tree trunks here. Now here's where it gets fun. We'll take a smaller brush now, maybe a size 6 brush. We'll go into our same colors we just mixed, and we're going to use alternation on this fence here with this. So here carefully we're going to go around the fence posts so that we have an interesting look of the fence. We're alternating the light and dark values, tonal values. And then we can even take a little bit of French ultramarine blue with a little bit of the burnt umber and make this a little darker. Okay, now that's one area where we did some alternation with tonal values, and that really is an interesting look. And we'll come back in this area and do some darks for the fence post. And again, we're just working with, having fun here and working with our paints, and we're always changing, so we'll change our colors and add some different colors to the fence here. And then we see how that alternation works here, because now we can use alternation as a technique to, in a sense, pretend that we're showing the viewer who's viewing our painting that the fence is continuing right through where these trees are. And that adds a bit of excitement to the painting. And if we were there on the scene painting, let's say we went out and we were painting this scene in plein air, painting on the spot, maybe in a local area we live in, and we're painting a scene like this, you probably wouldn't see that light tonal value by the fence and the backdrop of the tree, but we're going to use this technique again of alternation of tonal values to actually make that fence more interesting as it's going through this section here. So I'll go to a larger brush now. And we change our brush as we need to, our size of brush. And then we can start blocking in our cabin. We could change around our tonal values. So I'm just mixing up the different colors here. Burnt umber. Okay. Okay. Now we will we could just do some shapes of the leaves of the trees here, and we're mixing up a little bit of color. And again, that adds more, again, alternation of so here we can have some alternation of maybe some leaf shapes. So that could be some light splashing across the trees. And we could get into a little more detail with that and make some leaf shapes within those bright white parts of the paper. We could splash a little bit, bring some excitement to this section here. Okay, so we're really moving along here. We're doing a nice composition, just practicing our alternation of tonal values. And we'll maybe we'll continue and bit of splashes here just to bring a little interest to the and we could add some, just a couple little okay, so then we're gonna continue here. Maybe we'll use a lighter version. Now I'm going to use some of the lighter tone values that I have already with the same colors, and we'll do some So that could be some wood planks on the side. And then we could do some shadowing under here. And we could even go back in again after this, after it dries a little, and add a little darker shadowing under that eave of the roof there. And this is another area we could do some alternation of tonal value. We can use our tissue maybe just to blot that up a touch. Then we can take our smaller brush that we were using, this one here, and then we can go in and take some French ultramarine blue, some burnt sienna, maybe a touch of the sap green, and we could use that alternation where that power pole or comes up, and then we can continue that. So there we can use alternation by leaving that light, and then we can continue upwards. Like that. And then too, we can also blot just a touch of the paint, and that also looks interesting, gives it a little bit of a change in tonal value. And let's go for some really interesting impact here and excitement for this painting. And again, these are ideas we can use to make our paintings more exciting. So here I'm going to take some French ultramarine blue and some burnt sienna, and we're going to go in here and make a nice dark, like so. Now I'm making this more blue because it's the coolness of the inside of the room, inside the cabin. And the window inside the cabin. And then we can leave that interesting tonal value change there. So maybe there's some light bouncing into the room. And then right away we feel like we have a three-dimensional structure here, a shack or a small cabin, just by using that alternation of tonal value. Dark, very, very dark French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna for the interior of the shack, and then painting the window, adding that window in on the other side of the building. And we're seeing it as we look in this open door here. And we see how that's an exciting play of tonal values that really brings some dimensionality to the painting. And we can do that in various locations. But we'll continue here, and we'll just we'll put some window shapes here. Okay, and then again we can put some of that darker mixture that we have. So this is really having fun with that alternation of tonal values. We can really get a lot of excitement. And if you can imagine, if we just continue here, we'd have a lot more excitement in different areas where we could use our variations. All right, we'll see you on the next